Hello, my wolf pack. This is Mystic with Mystic Shepherd Gaming, and I am going to show you magical range DPS in Final Fantasy XIV Online. So stick with me, and I'm going to show you the three different ones. Two are the starting classes. One is that you would have to get from a DLC. So here we are with the Summoner. Okay, the Summoner starts out as an Arcanist. Arcanist, I don't know how you're actually supposed to pronounce that, but you can actually, that's the only class, the Arcanist, if you've watched any of my other videos, I've said it, is the only one you could start out as that, and shoot, there's an offshoot of two different classes. Scholar is the other one. That is a healer, so that's not a DPS, but I wanted to show you that that's the only class that it's a DPS, potential, and healer, and they level up together. So here we're going to, I'm showing you the three different pets that you get as a summoner. This is actually a Titan Edgy. And then you have Ifrit, the red one, which is like a attacker type. And then you have Garuda, which is the first one that you start out with as an Arcanist, but it's not Garuda then. Once you turn level 30 and you do your quest to become the the summoner, then you're able to summon these pets as they are. You can also do a glamour on them and make them look like the little icons that you see there. That would be another video, wouldn't it? Alright, so I'm going to show you, while I'm doing this, you're going to see me pull out the different, or cast the three different pets that you can use, and you're going to see me use the different spells. Basically, I'm not going to sit here and explain how to do your moves, how to do whatever. I am going to say, if you play a summoner, make sure your dots are always on, and make sure your pets are out, and make sure that you know, if you want to, go the extra distance and research what pet you should have for what, like raid, or I would think raids are, it's more important, and some of the higher end, like end game dungeons would be more important to make sure of what pet you're pulling out, you know, because you don't want Garuda to blow something across or away when you want that particular monster close, right? So when she is a caster type, and she does cast like a wind type move. So you can see here, you know, the dots are up, and I'm pulling out the, you know, I had Garuda out, and Garuda turns, you know, can turn into Bahamut, which is like, it all has to do with ether flow. And as a summoner, ether is important because you're summoning your pets through using ether. Is the only way I can really explain it until you've played that class. So you see here, Garuda is definitely your distance caster type. And of course this, you know, it's funny that, you know, I pulled her out first. I didn't even think about the fact that this was my magical range DPS video. So it is funny that she ended up being the first summoned pet that I pulled out to show you what they can do and what you do as a summoner. Now this one is Ifrit. He's more up close and personal, but he does burn. You know, it is more of like a spell, but he's not your caster type. He's like a, you know, straight up, I'm in your face, I'm going to use my claws, and you're going to take burn damage. So, and then he, you know, you see the Phoenix here, this is what he can turn into. He turns into that. I don't remember, because it has been some time, even though my character is level 80 in summoning, I don't recall if you can turn him into Bahamut or if it's straight up the Phoenix. I'm pretty sure it's just the Phoenix, though. So the next one that we're going to cast or pull out is Titan. Back before whatever changed, this recent change in this last year, he used to be actually a tank pet. And he would tank things for you. And as a magical range DPS, that was awesome, because you wouldn't take hits to the face if you're out soloing. He would basically be your tank. But I think the issue then became that too many people refused to stop pulling him out in the dungeons, and he actually would take aggro from some inexperienced tanks. So I can see where they would change that. So he's a bit of a you know, like Ifrit, where he casts a little bit, but it's more like rock damage, and you know, he's the support type pet is what they're saying. So, and again, always remember to have your pets out, because they are almost, if not half of your DPS. You don't have them out, you're not you know, using your full potential, is how I should put that. Make sure your dots are always up, and then, you know, once you start leveling, and you get more spells and more things to do, you'll see you know, which ones turn into the same spell but stronger, you know, which spell would then go next in the line of things that you're doing. That's the one thing they make this game very user-friendly. They're not going to leave it to guessing. They're going to say, okay, you know, this will be your next move, and it's going to be highlighted in jaggedy glowing lines, you know, so it's pretty obvious. So this is a summoner, and again, they start out as the Arcanist, and you can be a Scholar, and they level together. So if your summoner is leveling, and you, let's say you're level 70, and you hit 71, well then immediately your Scholar will be 71 too. So then you have a chance of being a DPS or a healer. Alright, Red Mage. Red Mage comes with the third DLC, not the last DLC, but the next to the last DLC. That was the one where the Samurai and Red Mage came through, and Red Mage is another ranged magical DPS. Yes, they have a sword, but most of your moves are casting, but you're kind of using that sword along with what's floating in your hand, which is the magical side of things, right? To cast these different attack spells. And then there's I think 4 or 5 moves that are actually physically using the sword. So that is why they consider it a magical range DPS. And again, this came out with, you know, basically the, geez, I can't even think, Kugani, you know, that particular DLC. So you can see, you know, there's dual cast, and that's one of the cool things is, like, you know, basically Red Mage. You know, you have White Mage, if you think about it. A Red Mage is kind of an offshoot of the White Mage, because they cast earth and air, and they can heal once you get to a certain level, and you can actually raise people like a White Mage can. So I think that's why they're calling it the Red Mage. You know, you're kind of like a hybrid, and you do pretty decent damage. If you look at those numbers there, I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. I mean, I don't have, I had just actually, the week before I recorded this video, I just leveled her to 80, so I have no materia in her weapons, in her gear. I don't even think I have. I know for a fact if you look at her gear, it's not even the end game gear. The last part of the content, new content, came out after she turned 80. So one thing you want to do, and anybody will tell you, is cast Jolt before you do your single moves. You know, there's double moves. So if you use like Ver Arrow or Ver Thunder, that is like a AoE, right? So let's say you cast Ver Arrow or Ver Thunder, then you can cast your Jolt 2, and not Jolt 2. It's the little flower there. Anyway, and it'll basically speed cast that next thing. So if you sit there and cast Impact, is the name. If you cast Impact at level 80 over and over, it's going to be slower than if you were to actually cast Ver Arrow or Ver Thunder and then Impact. And then, of course, you have other moves that speed up your casting. And here we are on the Black Mage. The Black Mage is the hardest hitter in the game, but you really have to have patience, and you really have to know this class. It has single target moves. It has AoE moves, just like any other class, especially a magical ranged class. The Black Mage is awesome. I don't have much patience for it. I am going to be working on it, and you know, maybe I'll end up loving or falling in love with the Black Mage. Yeah, she is level 70, but once upon a time, excuse me, I actually tried to level all my classes to end game, whatever the end game was, and I've recently decided that if it's a class that I'm not crazy about, you know, it doesn't mean I have to level it just to have those numbers straight across the board, you know. So she's still at 70, and I still have other classes that are at 50, 60. I am working on other ones. I'm taking my time and not making myself feel like I have to do these things, you know. Once upon a time, that's the other thing, is I used to try and make myself feel like I had to do all of them as fast as possible between each DLC, which then you don't enjoy the DLC as much, right? So you can see here, you know, all these, she has a dot, and the cool thing is the thunder dot that you have for them, when the higher level you go, the more things it can do. It'll jump from monster to monster, or bad guy to bad guy. That's probably a better way to put it. and upon death kind of thing, you know, it has a chance of ricocheting. I mean, it's like really cool. But the majority of what you're doing is a heavy hitting fire or ice type move. And the one thing to keep in mind with fire and ice is it's not like other games where fire damages certain types and ice just damages other types. It's actually, ice actually regenerates your mana. So that's mostly what it's used for. And fire is basically, and flare and things like that are what you're using to destroy things, basically, and then the thunder dots. So this was a video on your magical range DPS. I hope this helps you decide what you want to play. Thank you so much for watching my video. Remember to smash that like button, ring the bell to be alerted for future videos and or live streams, and hit that subscribe button. Have a fabulous day, and thanks again for watching.